This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Iraq does not expect OPEC Plus to make further cuts to oil output at its next meeting in June, its oil minister Hayyan Abdul Ghani said, in the first indication from an OPEC minister about a potential decision as oil prices slide. At the next meeting, which will be held on the 3rd and 4th of June, there will be no additional reduction, and as for Iraq, we cannot reduce further, Abdul Ghani said in an interview, his first to foreign media since taking office last year. In a following statement, he said Iraq is committed to voluntary oil production cuts that started in May and last until the end of 2023, and noted that Iraq was not asked to make any additional such cuts before a June 4 OPEC Plus meeting.
Sour crude oil supplies for U.S. Gulf Coast oil refiners will be squeezed in coming weeks, market participants said, as global demand rises following this month's OPEC Plus production cut. The oil-producing group's 1.16 million barrel per day cut will reduce stocks of sour crudes as U.S. oil refiners ramp up purchases for summer driving season. Shell plc's shut-in of its 375,000 BPD Zydeco line in the Gulf of Mexico last month because a leak also reduced supplies, traders and analysts said. Cash prices for Mars Sour, a key sour grade, have climbed recently, firming on Tuesday to a $1.60 premium to U.S. crude futures, the strongest since September 2020, traders said.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The U.S. oil and natural gas rig count fell this week to its lowest in nearly a year, as gas rigs slumped by the most in a week since February 2016, energy services firm Baker Hughes County said in its closely followed report on Friday. The oil and gas rig count, an early indicator of future output, fell by 17 to 731 in the week to May 12, the lowest since June 2022. The weekly drop was the biggest since June 2020. Baker Hughes said that puts the total rig count up only 17, or 2%, over this time last year.
Oil prices settled more than 1% lower on Friday, falling for the third consecutive week, as the market balanced supply fears against renewed economic concerns in the United States and China. Brent crude futures settled down 81 cents, or 1.1%, to $74.17, while West Texas Intermediate, WTI, U.S. crude futures fell 83 cents, or 1.2%, to $70.04. Both benchmarks settled about 1.5% lower week on week. The US dollar clung to modest gains against the euro on Friday and was headed for its biggest weekly gain since February, as uncertainty around the US debt ceiling and monetary policy prompted a shift to safe havens.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Iron ore futures fell on Friday, as traders worried about a dim demand outlook in top steel producer and metals consumer China assessed the prospects of additional stimulus for the world's second biggest economy. The most traded September iron ore on China's Dalian Commodity Exchange ended daytime trading 2% lower at 697 yuan, $100.84 a ton, off a session low of 685 yuan and 50 fen, its weakest since May 5. Dalian iron ore's benchmark price, however, was on track for a modest weekly gain after clawing back some lost ground.
The London Metal Exchange, LME, will require warehouse companies to carry out additional checks on stocks of warranted nickel following irregularities earlier this year, Bloomberg News reported on Friday. The tests include using magnets and metal detectors, as well as a touch inspection, which involves warehouse workers feeling the outside of bags to verify that the material inside is of an appropriate size and shape, Bloomberg reported, citing people familiar with the matter. The exchange is also asking warehouses to weigh bags of nickel as they are delivered out of the LME system, Bloomberg reported. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. India's palm oil imports in April slumped 30% from a month earlier to hit a 14-month low, as the premium over rival soft oils prompted buyers to shift to sunflower oil and soy oil, a trade body said on Friday. The big drop in palm oil imports by India, the world's biggest importer of vegetable oils, could weigh on palm oil prices, which are trading near a 7-month low. It will also likely make it difficult for top producer Indonesia to increase exports after easing restrictions imposed on the shipments earlier this year, traders said.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.